Today we're driving the BMW M2 Competition. I've spent a little bit of time on track and around autocross in this car, but not a whole lot of street miles. So I'm excited to bring you guys along for the drive today. We've got a 405 horsepower 3-liter twin-turbo inline-6, the S55 from the BMW M3. It is slightly detuned, but it is a very, very potent engine in this 3,600 pound M2. Today we have a 7-speed dual clutch and some flappy paddles. Pretty bare bones interior, pretty basic, very driver focused. Not a lot of fancy stuff going on here. This M2 Competition is around $63,000 with destination. So pretty reasonable and competitive price. There are so many great cars in that price point, and this M2 Comp is definitely one of them. Let's walk you around this thing and take it for a drive, because that's what it's all about. I do like these seats, this little blue, these blue accents in there look pretty sharp. A little bit of Alcantara suede on the sides. The M colors stitched into the seat belts. Little details make you remember that this is something special. One of my favorite M Performance BMWs of all time was the BMW 1 Series M Coupe. And this M2 just builds on that ethos. It looks just proper. The proportions on this are just so good. I think it's a beautifully designed car. It's aggressive. It looks special. It feels special. I think this is BMW's M division at its purest and some of its best in recent years. This M2, I think, is practical enough. You get 60/40 folding rear seats, a decent amount of trunk space, batteries in the back to help with weight distribution. No spare tire, unfortunately. Look at those hips and these wheels. Massive 4-piston rear calipers, 6 pistons up front, plenty of cooling ability to last out on track all day long. Yeah, I have no complaints about the way this thing looks. It's fantastic. Even this mirror shape is kind of evocative. Let's show you under the hood. You even get the carbon fiber brace in the M3. Engine's right over that front axle. Very cool. 405 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque. Let's show you the back seats too while we're here. There is a livable amount of space back there. I think on a short journey, this is totally doable for passengers. There's even a little bit of an indent for your knees. Not much headroom, but in a pinch, it'll work. And you can move the front seat forward and back with these little buttons in there, which is nice. It sounds good. It sounds really good. And in neutral, it'll rev all the way up to redline. All right, guys, before we get started with our drive today, I would like to thank our sponsor, Fantom Wallet. And today, I'm talking about their TouchGUARD. This is a brass antimicrobial tool that allows you to touch things with the tool and not with your fingers and get them all germy and coronavirusy. It's no supplement for good sanitation practices, but it is a little bit helpful in your daily use. It fits nicely in your pocket. It's ergonomically set up so that you can open bottles with it, lift up groceries, You can open doors. There's even a little place to fit it in your keychain. Lots of options and ways to use the Fantom TouchGUARD. I'd like to thank Fantom Wallet for their support of this channel this year, and if you're interested in any of their products, be sure to use my discount code TOPHER15 for 15% off your order. Anything you purchase from our sponsors also helps to support the TOPHER channel. All right, guys, let's take this thing on the road. We have a normal handbrake and none of this electronic silliness. You guys are gonna love this M2. The biggest surprise here for me is the power level. This thing pulls. It has some hustle. It's pretty awesome. Those turbos kick in and you get this huge shove into your backside. Paired with this dual clutch. This transmission is a nice dual clutch. It's maybe not my favorite DCT from BMW, and I do think that the character and the personality of this car would be better suited with a 6-speed manual. We will try to get into one of those at some point. But that said, if you are wanting the extra smoothness and precision of a DCT, this isn't a bad option to go with. These brakes are phenomenal. Really nice pedal feel, very adjustable. Let's do a launch. 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds here. Also revs to the moon, 7,600 RPM redline, and it sounds fantastic. This S55 just screams. I love it. Little pops from the exhaust there. We are on Michelin Pilot Super Sports, so a very sticky tire. Still kick it sideways a little bit here and there, but overall there is quite a lot of grip from this chassis. You get it onto an autocross course and this thing will slide around pretty easily, and even on track it turns a little bit of a drift machine, but on the street there's a little bit more grip to work with. That said though, despite that really high level of grip, there's a little bit of a nervousness to this car that I think adds to the driving experience and to the excitement overall behind the wheel. And that has to do with the short wheelbase. This thing is active. It moves around under you. It kind of wags its hips. On launch, you get just a little bit of movement from the rear end. And on cornering, you can feel this chassis move underneath you. Quite a lot of tire noise from these Pilot Super Sports. And And the suspension is firm, but I don't think it's punishing. I've been driving this just on my daily commute all around the roads in Michigan, which, as many of you know, are horrible. And it works, it's fine. It's livable. It's a little bit stiff, but that's okay. I would have no problem daily driving this M2 with the ride quality. And the performance here is just incredible. True driver's car from BMW. And that's one of the things that kind of frustrates me with BMW's products these days, is they know how to make a proper driver's car. They do it right here in the M2. But the rest of their M product line is just a little bit distant and numb and dull. But this thing delivers. It excites, it's fun, it's engaging, and it's enjoyable to drive all the time. There's a simplicity and a purity with this M2 that's very refreshing. I've really enjoyed daily driving this M2 this week. The DCT is fantastic. I would prefer a 6-speed manual, but that's just me. You can't really go wrong with either transmission option. The DCT gets slightly worse fuel economy, which is surprising. 17 in the city, 23 on the highway, whereas I believe the manual is 18 and 24. This might be my favorite BMW on sale. It's just that good. It's fun. It's fun all the time. Even when you're just driving around normally, there isn't a whole lot to distract from the driving experience. This Harman Kardon is pretty good too. We lost our phone on that last entrance ramp, but let's see if we can get in and listen to some music. Harman Kardon's actually quite good too. Not too many complaints there. Such a meaty power band too. It pulls all the way to redline. Get that little turbo whistle at the bass. This is a fast car. It creeps up on you a little bit. I was surprised when I first got into this, and I had just gotten out of the AMG GT63S. That says something. The power to weight here is pretty ideal. There isn't really a whole lot I don't like about this M2. I love that you can still get into a manual. I think there's enough track capability to keep you entertained. It's a little bit of a drift machine once you get it out on a circuit. But on the street, there's a lot of grip, there's a lot of confidence once you kind of get to know it. And that's maybe why I like this car so much, is that it presents a little bit of a challenge to the driver. And you have to get to know this car. You have to build a little bit of a rapport, a comfort level that doesn't immediately present itself, but once you spend more time with it, it really shines. I love the simplicity of the cabin, the straightforward driving experience. There's minimal adjustability here. You can adjust your engine aggressiveness, your steering weight. I kind of just prefer comfort. You have your two M dynamic modes, or your two M modes, and one I have set to MDM, the other I have set to DSC fully off. And you can just set your settings, hold that button, and you can go there anytime. Any complaints? Well, I've always thought that BMW steering wheels are just a little bit overly thick, kind of a minor gripe, but this is okay. It's a very fast steering rack. You're not going to have a lot of turns lock to lock. Chassis here is just awesome. It's so much fun, you guys. There's not a lot of steering feel, but you can get enough communication through the front tires and the chassis. You can feel it just rotate under you just a little bit. And the dual clutch allows you some pretty aggressive downshifts. It'll let you downshift right up into the red line, which is pretty liberal. Even in automatic mode, this DCT does a really nice job. Lets you ring it out when you're driving it hard, but when you're just driving around town normally, it's very comfortable. It's pretty fuel efficient too. I'm getting about 26 miles to the gallon on the highway. Low to mid 20s combined, depending on what type of driving I'm doing. And once you really get to know this car, it becomes very comfortable to drive and to hustle around. And that's the mark of a good driver's car. Super bumpy road. Again, it's firm, but there are no bumps and no impacts that are making me cringe. There's kind of a softness to that underlying firmness that is nice. It's very livable. There's just a little bit of the impact noise from the tires, but that's kind of the case with any performance tire. A slightly older Pilot Super Sport on here, but they still perform awesome. They're great in the rain. They're very progressive in the way they break away and very predictable. Well guys, we're gonna have to wrap up the review here because I am almost out of fuel. We have 15 miles of range, and that's about it. Thanks for sticking around for this one. We appreciate all the support and views and feedback on the channel lately. Hope you guys enjoyed this M2 drive. We will see you in the next video. Take care, guys. We'll see you later. Leave it in drive, hit the off button, and that'll put the DCT into park. Thanks again to our sponsor, Fantom Wallet. I use this wallet every day for putting gas in all the press cars.